Surprise, the VA doesn't get it right. You should be permanent and total because all your conditions to 100% equal 100%, but for some reason the VA missed it because there's not some magical flashing light that goes, hey, change Clay's rating to permanent and total. Clay filed 17 different times because he knew he could take as many bites of the VA apple as he wanted. So he kept filing, and finally he got to 100%. And now all of a sudden he's got enough for that permanent and total, but VA still has him on scheduler. Somebody needs to tell the VA, hey, look, I have enough that you, VA, consider to be static that I should be 100%. The VA is not sitting there going, well, I don't know. I might change one of those. No, they're going, oh, well, we didn't know. We didn't look. Sorry. Thanks for bringing it up because we'll take care of you. That's really what they're saying. Oops, our bad. There you go. So what are your thoughts on that, Clay? I'd love to hear it and see what you have to say.
Two things. So one of my good friends that I still work with today, that is exactly what happened to him. He was awarded 100% scheduler. Now, he didn't know that he should have been P&T. About 3.5-ish, 4 weeks went by. The VA sent the letter and was like, hey, my bad. You're actually P&T. Boom, end of story, right? So it does happen. And that was maybe 1.5 years ago. So that does happen. Second thing, if it happened to me, what would I do? What I would do is first, obviously, understand that you are or are not or should or should not be P&T, right? With your rating code sheet through your VSO or through your RO. Once you have the facts, and that part's key because don't go barking up a tree that don't exist, right? Once you have the facts, I would make an appointment with my regional office and speak with someone there and say, hey, here are the facts, what's going on. And there is a formal process through the regional office for that. You could also go through your accredited VSO, but personally, the RO would be the fastest in my opinion. And you could also make an appointment with Vera, which is a whole other topic if you want to, but that's also at the regional office. At least that's what I would do. And it does happen, unfortunately. And, VA raters, I'm not going to say it's not their fault because it totally is. But they're human, right? They're just, imagine myself and Jason behind a keyboard all day. It's 4:30 p.m. I'm like, dude, I'm getting out of here. Submit this last one. I'm out. That's basically what's happening. And so things get left out all the time. And no one's going to tell you that, right? And if you just lollygag and willy-nilly throughout your life, you could be missing out on benefits. Last thing I'll say, and I'll kick it back to you. Let's just hypothetically say 10 years went by for my friend who is supposed to be P&T. There would be an effective date with that, and you would have to argue with your state and your county and get property tax back pay. It would be a massive headache, but it's possible to get back pay for that. Obviously, we don't want to get there, okay? So knowing up front is the way to go. But yeah, Jason, I'll kick it back to you on that one.
So two of the other fantastic benefits from the federal government on the VA side with regard to 100%, and I know you know this, Clay, and I know you're going to shake your head, yes. Chapter 35, $1,488 per month. $1,488 per month additional into your household if your spouse or dependents are utilizing that program. You can have 7 children. Now, granted, they'd all have to be, I guess one right after the other to all be on at the same time. But in any case, they can go to higher level of education approved by the VA and get $1,488 per month. This does not pay for tuition. This is not like the GI Bill. It's a different thing, but it does pay you, the spouse or the dependent, directly $1,488 if you go to school full time. There's, it's trimmed down versions if you go half time, 3/4 time, quarter time, whatever. But you have to pay for the tuition yourself. So if you go to a, community college or something like that, the cost is cheap and therefore you pocket more of the money if that's what you're looking for. Or you can go to a very expensive school and take that $14.88 and give it to the school every month. So it just depends on what your goals are. So that's a great benefit. I love that benefit. The other one is Champ VA. If you decide that you no longer need to work, or you get to the I don't need to work age, and you need to cover your family, your spouse, or what have you, Champ VA will act as a primary insurance for your loved ones. So that's a great benefit as well. They also cover prescriptions and so forth. So those are two great ones. Also, the automobile, I'm pretty sure every state for 100% rated veteran, I think in probably most cases, they want you to be permanent and total, will waive your registration fee for a vehicle. Now, the kind of handoff is that you get your blue handicap placard with your license plate, which, it is what it is. For some people, it's like, I don't really feel like I'm that disabled, but it's the only real workaround that they could come up with in order to make it work for your state, is kind of that trade-off. I have one. I just don't really utilize those parking spaces because I can make it to the store. Unless I had to drive like really far, then I look pretty funny for about the first, 20 minutes. All hunched over. God, it's rough. But if I'm only driving 10 or 15 minutes, I can maneuver all right. So that's a great benefit as well. Just want to throw that one out there. So with that, Clay, let's talk about TDIU, unless you have anything additional, which
I
you do.
do.
Look at you.
There's
All right, so
something
then
I really want to talk about.
back to you.
Again, generally speaking, most veterans are not P&T straight out of the gate, right? I leave service 3 months later, I'm P&T. That is, I would argue that's rare. It's definitely uncommon, okay?
Yeah.
I would argue it's rare. Most veterans go 5, 10, 15 years and then eventually rate the P&T mark. And what I Jason and I have talked about this a billion times. What it comes down to, you've basically got two options. Okay. And I'm just going to be very blunt here. And then we'll transition to TDIU. You can either, I wouldn't say fight the VA. You can either be on top of your case and get your evidence and check for increases in secondaries, or you don't. That's it. Like, those are your options. And so you can either hop on this boat and, truck along with every other veteran you see in Facebook group, whatever, complaining, right? I would probably keep the complaining down to a teeny bit and just continue to gather evidence, or you don't. And that's pretty much the real answer there. And you know what? The last thing I do want to say, a lot of veterans, for some reason, believe just because they have a condition that it should be service connected, which isn't the case, right? I'm going to use sleep apnea, and this one is going to be harsh, okay? But I'm saying this to make a point, right? Tons of veterans develop sleep apnea because they stop working out, their diet is poor, they start gaining weight according to their body mass index, they are technically obese, and they develop sleep apnea. And then you submit that claim because you hear everyone else talking about sleep apnea secondary, and you're denied. And then the rationale on your DBQ is going to say something like, hey, this is because the veteran is overweight and these service-connected disabilities didn't cause the weight gain. And that is probably the most common rationale for sleep apnea denials that I see. And I want to say that because, hey, if you're properly rated at 40% or you're properly rated at 90%, that is totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of it. If you are not properly rated at, 100% and you're at 90, but you have the evidence, then go for it. Okay. So it's not, every veteran deserves 100%. I don't want to push that idea. The idea is be properly rated. With being properly rated, I think that's a good transition into TDIU, unless that sparks some thoughts.
I just want to double down. I just want to double down on what you said. Absolutely, right? And that is the point that I try to make with, don't focus on high value claims. Focus on the things that you can prove manifested or are a result of your time in service.
Absolutely.
File all that stuff. Then obviously, like you said, look at secondaries, blah, 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 you know, and over time, right? These things might take years, right? The things you have today might get you a 60% rating overall. And 10 years from now, you've developed secondaries that help push you over the top to the 100%, right? It's just important to have the information and know that it's there, because too many times, what do we hear? Oh, I wish I would have known, right?
Yeah.
So that's, again, what we're trying to eliminate. And I agree with you, Clay. It's just about being appropriately rated for the conditions you have.